Hey y'all, Father Jim Haney from St. Paul's in the Plains and Texas Tech Canterbury. Happy Halloween! No, I'm not going to talk about the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I'll save that in line as for some other year. But I do want to talk just for a little bit about things that scare us. I have talked and written elsewhere about the kinds of horror movies that frighten us in our culture. I think the horror movies, the horror stories we have tell us a lot about our deepest fears. In our newsletter this month, I wrote about zombies, how popular they are in recent decades. Edgar Allan Poe used to be afraid of being buried alive, and his stories reflect that fear. Later, it was vampires. In the 50s, it was aliens from outer space and atomic mutations. But we're afraid of zombies. Nothing worse in our culture, probably, than the thought of being dead on the inside and yet needing to be a mindless consumer on the outside. Scary to us. But there's another thing that's scary, and it's scary oftentimes to Episcopalians, to Christians. It is the book of Revelation. And this is unfortunate because the book of Revelation is not a horror story. It is a wonderful story of comfort and joy. It is tidings of comfort and joy, to bring in a Christmas image a little bit early. Christians are often afraid of the images in Revelation. That's a sad mistake. I'll say a couple things about that. First off, the very first thing Jesus says when he appears in the first chapter of Revelation is, "Do not be afraid." That's straight out of Jesus' lips. Do not be afraid. And that's actually the message of Revelation. It's not about things that should be fearful or scary. It's about comfort, things that are exciting and wonderful in the midst of the difficulties of this world. Part of the problem with Revelation is we don't get the code, the symbols that are used. There are all kinds of weird things, 7-headed dragons with 10 crowns, 7 horns, 10 horns, 7 crowns. Other weird things, flying locusts, giant locusts covered in armor, horsemen of different colors, and yet we don't get it because we just don't understand the symbols. If somebody from that time came forth to our culture and saw this, a giant golden M with the word McDonald, they might wonder, what's that about? What's an M and McDonald? Is this a symbol for the family MacDonald, the Scottish clan? No. We know what it is. We know it's a place to go get burgers and fries. McDonald's. We understand this symbolism. Or if we saw this political cartoon, a donkey and an elephant boxing each other, would we think that somebody has trained these animals to be in boxing matches? No, we understand it's a political statement. Republicans and Democrats battling it out. Same thing with Revelation. All those wild symbols are things that represent things in their culture. But again, the big message of Revelation is do not be afraid. It is a message of comfort. The best chapters I would point you to are chapter 7. There's a wonderful image. We often use it at funerals of God gathering all of his people before his throne, a great multitude from every tribe and family and language and people and nation coming before the throne and worshiping the Lamb, worshiping Jesus himself. The Lamb who was slain and yet is standing, the one who died and yet is alive. And then there's the wonderful images in chapter 21 and 22 of God bringing his new city of Jerusalem down from heaven to earth, and God dwelling in the midst of his people. And so Revelation is not something to be scared of. It is tremendous good news, tremendous joy. And so this Halloween, enjoy some safe frights, but don't be afraid of the coming end of time. It is something to look forward to, when God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God bless. Have a happy Halloween. Have a great All Saints Day tomorrow as well. Take care.